Let me tell you what happened.
You are not going to believe this.
No ways, that actually happened.
Inspired by the kind of story you'd find on Reddit, imagine you're sitting in a lovely Italian restaurant. The candles are lit, the pasta is coming, and your best friend leans across the table and loudly asks a complete stranger, a man in a very nice suit, how to get to the toilet.
Oh no, 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 we are not starting there. That is not okay. Fine, yes, that happened. But you have to give people the context first, Alex.
Sam, buddy, the context is the story. There is no better starting point. That moment was, I'm sorry, genuinely one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my entire life.
Welcome to English Through Stories. I'm your narrator, and today Alex and Sam are here to tell us about the night everything went slightly, beautifully wrong at a restaurant called La Piccola Roma, somewhere in the center of town. Let's go back to the beginning.
Right, so, it was a Friday night. Alex and I had decided to treat ourselves to a proper sit-down meal, none of your takeaways, none of your meal deals. A real restaurant with a real menu and a real dress code. Which, by the way, Alex nearly violated.
Okay, trainers are practically formal now. That's a cultural shift. Anyway, the restaurant. Yeah, it was a gorgeous place, really upscale. You walk in through the main entrance and the host points you straight ahead past the bar and you go down a long corridor to get to the dining area. Very dramatic, very cinematic.
It was nice, I'll give it that. We got shown to our table, we ordered some drinks, we ordered our starters, and everything was completely fine, completely normal. No embarrassment whatsoever. Until
Sam needed the loo.
I needed the loo, yes, which is a completely normal human thing. So I asked our waiter very politely where the toilets were. And he said, and I remember this very clearly, he said, "Of course, madam. Turn left at the end of this corridor, go past the coat check on your right, and it's the second door on the left." Very clear directions. Thank you very much.
Now those are perfectly reasonable directions. Turn left, go past something on your right, second door on your left. Simple stuff, the kind of thing you'd hear anywhere. And yet, somehow, things went wrong almost immediately.
So I headed off, turned left at the end of the corridor like he said, walked past what I thought was the coat check. It was a bit dark, I couldn't quite tell, and I found a door. And I thought, right, that must be it. So I knocked.
She knocked on a door in a restaurant.
It's polite, Alex. You don't just barge into, okay? Yes, most people don't knock on public toilet doors. I understand that now.
She knocked and then the door opened, and it was, oh man, it was not the toilet. It was the manager's office. And there was this very tall, very well-dressed man sitting behind a desk just staring at her.
He looked like he'd never been surprised in his life, like he'd seen everything. And then I walked in and surprised him. I was mortified, absolutely mortified. I just stood there in the doorway and I said, "God, I can't believe I said this."
And here we arrive at the moment that, according to Alex, made the entire evening.
I said, and I want to be very clear, my brain had completely stopped working at this point. I said, "Sorry, excuse me, could you tell me which direction the ladies is? I think I've gone the wrong way."
She asked him, the manager, for directions to the toilet, in his own restaurant which he runs while standing in his private office. I nearly choked on my breadstick.
What was I supposed to say? I'd already opened the door. I couldn't just close it and walk away without saying anything. That would have been even worse.
This is arguably debatable, but let's continue.
So the man, bless him, he was actually very kind. He stood up and he came to the doorway and he pointed back down the corridor. He said, "No problem at all. Head back the way you came, go straight on past the coat check, which is on your right, and then turn right, not left, at the next junction. The ladies' room is at the far end on the left-hand side." Very patient, very professional.
The man literally gave her a full set of directions, like she'd asked him how to get to a different city. Turn right, not left, at the junction, head back the way you came. He was basically a human sat-nav.
He was very helpful. I thanked him, I turned around, I went back the way I came, past the coat check, which, for the record, I could clearly see on my right this time because I wasn't panicking, turned right at the junction and found the loos immediately. They were right there, Alex. I must have walked straight past them.
She was gone for about 8 minutes, by the way. 8 whole minutes. I was starting to think she'd left the country.
I needed a moment to compose myself. I stood in front of the mirror for at least 2 minutes just going, what did I just do? What did I just do?
And if you think that was the end of the evening's excitement, well, it wasn't.
Okay, so Sam comes back to the table. She sits down, she's gone a little bit red, and I'm trying very hard not to laugh. I ask her what took so long, and she tells me the whole story. And I did laugh. I laughed a lot, but in a loving way.
You were not quiet about it.
I might have been a tiny bit loud.
The couple at the next table looked over.
They were smiling, they thought it was funny too.
They were politely smiling in the way British people smile when they're thinking, please stop making noise near me.
The food arrived, the atmosphere calmed, and for a little while it seemed like the evening might recover its dignity. Then Alex decided to go to the toilet.
Yes, tell them, Alex.
Okay, so in my defense, the layout of that restaurant was genuinely confusing. You go straight ahead through the main entrance, right, and then you're in this long corridor, and there are doors everywhere. It's like a labyrinth back there.
I gave him very clear directions. I said, go straight on past the bar, turn right at the junction, not left. I was very specific about that, and the gents is at the far end opposite the ladies.
I went left.
He went left.
I don't know why I went left. I think I was still thinking about your story and my brain just overrode itself.
Alex went left at the junction, walked to what he believed was the far end of the corridor, and found himself standing in the restaurant's private wine cellar, which had no door handle on the inside.
He was in there for 4 minutes.
The light switch was on the outside. Who puts the light switch on the outside? I was in there in the dark just going, hello. Hello, is anyone? It smelled amazing in there, actually, I'll give them that.
A waiter finally heard him and let him out. And Alex comes back to the table looking like he's seen a ghost, and he sits down and I go, well, and he just says, I went left.
I went left, that's all I said, because it said everything.
And I laughed. Oh, I laughed so hard. The couple next to us definitely heard that one.
At this point, the manager, yes, the same manager from Sam's earlier adventure, appeared at their table, not to complain, not to ask them to leave, but remarkably to check on them.
He came over and said very graciously, I understand there may have been some difficulty finding your way around this evening. I apologize. We are planning to put up clearer signs. And I wanted to disappear under the table.
He remembered her. He definitely remembered her. And now he'd also heard about me. We were the table that couldn't find the toilet. In the whole history of that restaurant, we were probably the only 2 people at the same table who both got lost on the way to the loo.
He offered us complimentary desserts, which was lovely, but also made it worse somehow. Like, yes, thank you for the tiramisu, I'm still never coming back.
They did go back for the record 3 weeks later, and this time they studied the layout on the way in, memorized every turn, and had a completely uneventful evening. Almost.
I'm not talking about the second visit.
The coat check woman recognized us.
She definitely recognized us.
She pointed us in the right direction before we even asked.
Unprompted, just hand out pointing down the corridor, turn right at the junction, far end on the left, before we'd said a single word.
She knew, she just knew.
And perhaps that is the most dignified ending possible to this story. Not a triumphant recovery, not a dramatic resolution, just a coat check attendant who had clearly been briefed, and 2 people who now, without question, always look for the signs before they move.
Honestly though, best meal I've ever had. The pasta was incredible, and the wine cellar smelled amazing. 10 out of 10 would get lost again.
Do not recommend. 0 out of 10. Ask your waiter for directions before you leave the table. Actually, ask them twice. Write it down if you have to. Do not be us.
Wise advice from Sam, and on that note, thank you for listening to English Through Stories. If this made you laugh or cringe or both at the same time, you are having exactly the right reaction. We'll
Did
see
this
you
make
next
you laugh?
time.
Drop us a like.
Hit follow and never miss a story.
Subscribe to English Through Stories. Find us on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. See you on the next episode.